Our next speaker was a very regular feature on our screens for many years. Then he went off to the UK, and he will still appear on our screens quite regularly. Then he returned to Gibraltar, where he took on the role of CEO of GBC. But don't think that stopped him coming on our screens, porque todavía sale mucho. And he's here to tell us long overdue appearance on Jib Talks. Please welcome on stage, James Neish.
Imagine you're live on air. No script, no direction, no idea what's going on. And I haven't even started talking about my broadcasting career yet. My story in London started with a leap. A big leap which many people told me I was crazy to take at the age of, let's just say I wasn't in my 20s anymore. But there I was, ready for a new challenge, a new life, and as I quickly discovered, a whole new set of problems. The question is, had I made the most stupid decision of my life, quitting the job for life mentality? Or had I finally escaped its grip, freeing myself to feel and explore something new? I'm going to let you be the judge of that this morning. Don't worry, I know it's Saturday morning. I'm not going to work you very hard. So a master's at City University was going to be my stepping stone into the UK industry. Dilemma number one: do I tell a class of students half my age that I have some experience, that I am a professional wine drinker, even if it meant keeping up appearances, drinking wine from plastic cups at student parties? Let me tell you, Wild Wednesdays took on a brand new meaning. But enough said about that. I was no longer the person who knew no one, but I was still the foreigner. Someone in the UK industry once told me I would never work on air in the UK. How would I convince editors to employ, here comes the word again, a foreigner, someone with a Gibraltarian accent? One comment by one person, and it hit me here. So on the way to my first audition at Eagle Radio, a small regional radio station in Surrey in Guildford, after my master's, I was listening to their presenters, to their bulletins, and thinking, I sound nothing like them. I don't stand a chance. And for a moment, I contemplated turning back. Even after 20 years in the industry, I was still scared. But one thing I've learned is you always show up. And at least I thought maybe I will learn something. So I go in, meet Anthony, the editor, prepare my script. Auditions are a bit like acting. You get some gigs, you don't get others. Go into a radio studio. The red light comes on. I can hear my heart. And I kid you not, I am 3 lines into my first story when he stops me. Anda, ya la cagué. Did I not put up the fader? Does he not like my voice? Is the story wrong? More importantly, has he heard the Gibraltarian accent and it's going to be a no? Quickly he says, can you work this weekend? So I stay on shadowing one of the presenters who says, don't worry, you're alone at the weekend, but nothing ever happens here on weekends.
Police in Surrey are hunting a man who's fatally stabbed a passenger on a London-bound train. The attack happened on a service from Guildford to London Waterloo.
It reminded me of my days as duty editor at GBC when all my colleagues used to say, como James esté de guardia, seguro que pasa algo. But why was I at Eagle Radio? Because someone I met in a networking event had recommended that I go to the regions to get some UK experience, aka you are the foreigner. And you will find that in the industry, you find 2 kinds of people, those who are willing to help you and those who are not, because they fear that if they let you in, they may be on the way out. This is a brutal, brutal industry. But David was really good to me. And something else you will learn from this talk is that broadcasting is a very small world, because he calls me a few months later. As luck would have it, he's appointed editor at Talk Sport. And he's assembling a brand new team and was wondering if I'd like to be part of it. Me, Talk Sport? Sport? Absolutely not.
Talk Sport. Sports Update.
Gareth Southgate says Trent Alexander-Arnold deserves his chance with the England squad. Liverpool's then capped team.
So there I was, sandwiched between Gordon Strachan and Harry Kane. I became a sports journalist, broadcasting to 3 million listeners, all of whom knew more about sport than me. And my editor famously tells me one day, "You know, James, what I really love about you? You are never starstruck." And all I could reply is, "David, I don't know who anyone is." But despite that, I became the go-to person for sport, it seemed, wherever I went.
James Neish is on Brighton Beach, where fans have gathered to watch the game.
It's a match in which England cannot afford any mistakes.
Our reporter James Neish is live in Brighton for us. Now, James, it was the worst possible result, wasn't it?
A brilliant Nathaniel Mendes-Lang goal gave Cardiff a first-half lead last night.
Oh, that's a terrific strike!
No wonder people don't want to pay the BBC licence fee. But covering news and sport across the country also meant I had to get there. Let's talk about that challenge. Now, I'm no Lewis Hamilton, but driving on the wrong side of the road, eso sí que un extreme sport. First roundabout, complete disaster. Second roundabout, you still have no idea where to turn. And slowly, you start to find your rhythm. Like in life, like in newsrooms, like with colleagues. And I was at the Tunbridge Wells studios once as a BBC Southeast. I'd just come back from a job talking to one of my colleagues. And I'm like, "I'm fascinated by the weather over Tunbridge Wells. There's always lightning." "No, there isn't." I'm like, "No, yes. Every single night that I come back." And I know this woman is looking at me thinking, who's this muppet that we're sending out on BBC jobs? So anyway, I don't let it go. And I'm like, isn't it? It must be like a weather phenomenon, isn't it? And I think the penny drops. And she's like, "Is that where the school is?" And I'm like, "Yes! I mean, you see it too then, don't you?" James, that's a speed camera. But it doesn't always end in laughter. I was freelancing. I'm arriving at News UK one day, London Bridge, and there's a huge commotion. Huge. Suddenly, police everywhere. Sirens fill the air of the London afternoon. It's the London Bridge terror attack. And as the crowds were rushing this way, I was trying to go that way. And you know how quickly news breaks? My phone rings. It's my mum. No se te vaya ni a ocurrir. But how do you explain that you are already here, in the thick of it, inside the police cordon? I would go on to broadcast for the next 6 hours from a building in security lockdown.
Headlines.
Thanks, Dan. Good evening. Police have confirmed they shot dead a suspect on London Bridge this afternoon. Officers continue to respond to what's been declared a terrorist incident. This is Assistant Commissioner Neil Basu.
Because as you know, todo siempre pasa when James is on duty. And I felt that my career was heading in the right direction. I felt I was in a good place. Until...
News.
Stay at home. In the last hour, Boris Johnson's escalated measures in a bid to stop the spread of coronavirus.
Cafes, pubs, bars and restaurants to close.
It wasn't the only thing to close. Freelance contracts across the country were ended. Overnight, all of my television work disappeared. I couldn't be furloughed because I was a freelancer. Now, COVID, they were difficult times for everyone. That's how the commute looked. That's how London looked, completely boarded up. We seem to have forgotten it wasn't that long ago. People feared looting, riots. I still had some work. I was given COVID-19 key worker status, so I still had a bit of radio work, and that's something I will always be grateful to GBC for the skill set it gave me, because many of my colleagues were either working in radio or television and were a reporter or a presenter. And there was me saying, "I'm jack of all trades, take me." So I had some work, But the reality is, it felt like a step back. But also, during COVID, there was an appetite for news. People wanted reliable information. Q, a brand new radio station that was launching in lockdown.
This is Times Radio.
But first, here's the news with James Neish.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Schools will be back from September and year groups are to be kept separate to minimise the risk of spreading coronavirus.
I loved my time with them. I spent almost 2 years. I was newsreading, I got to present, and then I was also on deployment, and I thought maybe they want to send me to Glastonbury. Or can you imagine if they want to send me to the Oscars? But no.
Times Radio.
It's 8 o'clock live from Wembley. I'm James Neish. England are just getting underway at Wembley in their historic Euro 2020 final against Italy.
I have sports anecdotes to fill an entire hour. But let's move away from sport and let's move away from some of the funny moments, because as a journalist, you also come up against some really hard days, some really, really tough shifts.
The headlines in the southeast today. A jury at Maidstone Crown Court says 6-week-old Mackenzie Ellis was murdered by his father. We're live outside the court with the latest.
It was the crime that horrified the nation, and today Wayne Couzens got sentenced for it. He will never be released from prison.
James Neish reports.
Just the one word from the jury: guilty.
Two of the most horrible cases that I had to cover. And in a twisted way, that's why I kept that headline sequence there. Your most heartbreaking stories, your most difficult ones, are the ones which give you the headline material. And I'll tell you something that I've always struggled with. As a journalist, you move on to the next story. How does the family move on? Now, I'm just giving you a snapshot of what was an intense 6 years away. I'm telling you about some of the successes. I'm not telling you about the jobs I didn't get, about the auditions from which a follow-up call never came. Those happen as well. But people used to tell me, wow, you're so lucky, que suerte tenido, no? And there is an element of luck, but you also make your own luck. And I think you will also find it's called hard work and a very early alarm clock. Now, I told you at the beginning of this talk that I'd let you be the judge. You don't have to answer, because sometimes there's no yes or there's no no. It works in different ways for different people. So the question is, do I think I made the right decision? Was it exciting for me? Now, if you think that perhaps chasing a dream is easy, please don't all go on Monday morning and resign and blame me, okay? Because there is something to be said about the job for life scenario. Knowing where your next paycheck comes from, the job security. It works for so many people. It just didn't work for me. And I get it that people are sometimes skeptical. Why would you leave a job that you love? That's the hard bit. You have to want something enough to move on. Why leave it for something that's uncertain? And there I have been very lucky. I left jobs which I loved. When I left my head of radio job at GBC the first time, I loved it. I loved my life in London. I am here because I actually honestly think that together with a brilliant team at GBC, we're doing some wonderful work for the community and for you as our audience. I wouldn't be here otherwise. But the time will also come for the next challenge after GBC. And that will also mean leaving a job that I currently absolutely love. Sometimes opportunity knocks. And my final year in London, I told you how much I was loving Times Radio. And remember, I told you it was a small industry. I was devastated to leave Times Radio. But remember Anthony from Eagle Radio? He was working for the BBC. And one of the editors had asked him, do you know a brilliant journalist with a fantastic voice for a very exciting project? And he says, I know just the person. Q, Alexa, play BBC News.
Hello, this is BBC News. I'm James Neish. On the way. Zelensky pins hopes for an end to war on diplomacy, not military victory. Also coming up.
So there I was, the Gibraltarian, the one with the Gibraltarian accent, the foreigner, waking up the nation on BBC News, across smart speaker and on BBC Sounds. And since that day, I never, ever let anyone tell me it can't be done. Thank you.
Fantastic work there from James Neish. Thank you so much, James. One of the nicest people you will ever meet. And he timed it perfectly. ¿Se ve? Qué profesional.